Hey guys, this is Benny Ricciardi with rotocurve.com, and I'm here with our DraftKings running back picks for week 3. The first guy I want to talk about today is going to be Le'Veon Bell, making his debut this season for 2015. He is $7,500 on DraftKings this week. This is a guy that had 1,300 yards rushing last year, 800 yards receiving, about 80 catches, and 11 touchdowns. He was an absolute fantasy stud and is somebody who you should be thinking about rostering just about every week based on the production that he had last year. Coach Mike Tomlin has already said that he's going to be going right back into his normal role as the lead back and is going to be seeing as much work as he can carry. I know some people are a little concerned since this is his first game back, but a lot of times when you have a guy playing in his first game, it's because he's coming off an injury. Le'Veon Bell was out on a suspension, so it's a completely different animal. It's not like he isn't healthy or they're going to try to limit his carries. He's been practicing basically all through the preseason and even at practice through the first 2 games that he had to sit out. So I think he's going to be ready to go. That St. Louis team that they play basically got gashed the last couple of weeks. Last week, Washington ran all over them. So I do think that Bell is going to find some running room here. And the thing I love about Lev Bell is not only the fact that he runs the ball, but he's also a big part of that passing game. And on a PPR site like DraftKings, those points are going to add up real quick for you. 7,500 is definitely not cheap, but this is a guy who put up 20, 30, even 40 fantasy points last year at different points in time. So I definitely think that he's a pretty good option and somebody that you need to consider. Next guy I want to talk about is the running back from the Oakland Raiders, Latavius Murray. The thing about Murray is he gets a lot of volume. There was only 2 carries last week that went to anybody but him. Even though Oakland didn't run the ball a ton, but that was because they haven't been in a lot of close games so far this year. He's in there on about 75 to 78% of the snaps, so he's definitely somebody who's going to get a lot of volume. Now, they do play Cleveland this week, and Cleveland got gashed in the first week by Chris Ivory of the New York Jets, and Murray is a similar kind of runner. He's a big back. He's 6'2", about 240 pounds, but he also has speed, so if he does get a little bit of an opening, he does have the ability to take one to the house. One big run could basically help pay off the salary for him, gets him over, gets him close to getting 100 yards and also gets that touchdown. If he gets 100 yards and that touchdown at his price, he always has a couple catches as well to go with it. He could easily get you 20 to 25 points this week and be one of the top options at the running back position. The next guy I want to talk about is going to be Carlos Hyde. Now, we all know that Hyde had that huge first week of the season. And then last week, when everybody was on him at really high ownership, he got hurt and won a game at the beginning and then obviously got hurt and never came back because they were getting blown out. I think this week he's going to be much lower owned. And as long as Reggie Bush isn't back, which pretty much looks like it's going to be the case, you can expect to see some really high volume out of a guy like Hyde. He runs the ball a lot, and he also catches a couple passes out of the backfield. His price is only $5,400, which is pretty friendly for the budget. And I think he could be another guy that could give you some good upside at a pretty cheap price and help you fit some good players around him into your roster. Next guy I'm going to talk about is Devonta Freeman. Now, Freeman's a guy who's taken over for Tevin Coleman, who got hit last week and wound up with a couple broken ribs. He's going to be the lead back today for the Atlanta Falcons on Sunday. And again, I want to kind of temper everybody's expectations. He's not uber talented. He's not a guy who's likely to go out there and rush for 100 yards for you, but he is going to see a lot of volume, and he is a very good pass catcher. He needs about 16 to 18 points to pay off his salary, and if he gets probably 3 to 5 catches, which I don't think is asking too much out of him, it's something that he's done in the first 2 games already, he should be able to get you that value. If he scores a touchdown to go along with those 3 or 4 catches, he only needs about 60 or 70 total yards between rushing and receiving in order to be a good value play on the day. At 4,600, I think he's definitely somebody that I'm going to be interested in. He should see about 20-plus touches today. He had 16 touches last week after coming on for Tevin Coleman, who had double-digit touches, probably around 10 to 12 touches before he went out of the game. And in the first week, even with Tevin Coleman being the primary back, Freeman still got 13 touches in that game as well. So to expect 20, I don't think is asking too much out of him. And if he gets 20 touches, I think he's going to be able to pay off his salary, even if he doesn't get in the end zone. If he does get in the end zone, he's definitely going to pay off his salary. If he doesn't get in the end zone, he should still be a pretty serviceable option that can help you keep pacing your cash games and also give you the extra salary that you're going to want to spend up on guys in your tournament rosters. Now, the last guy I'm going to talk about today is somebody who I think is almost a must start depending on how things work out. If Eddie Lacy is not able to go on Monday night, James Stark at $3,000 is somebody who you basically have to play, in my opinion. He's a Monday Night Football. He's playing on Monday Night Football. And the problem that a lot of people have is with him playing on Monday, you might not know whether or not Lacy's going to be in there on Monday. But I actually have a solution to that to that problem that a lot of people have been talking about this week. If you use a guy like Lacy in your flex, then you're going to have two options basically that you could go to. If you use him in your flex and you don't have anybody else left to play, the one option you're going to have to switch off to is probably going to be Richard Rodgers, the tight end from Green Bay. Rodgers has been seeing a couple catches. He's been seeing some targets, and he's dirt cheap at only $2,500. So he would be the swerve that I would look for. Excuse me. He would be the swerve that I would look to if you do have Lacy in your, if you do have Stark in your roster, and it turns out that Lacy is going to play. Now, if you want a 2-for-2 switch that you can do on Monday night that works out to the same amount of money and gives you some pretty good upside, a lot of people like Aaron Rodgers this week. So if you have Rodgers as your quarterback and you have Lacy in the flex spot, that's $8,000 and $3,000 for a total of $11,000. If it turns out that Lacy is going to play, for that same $11,000, you can switch to the other side of that game and take a quarterback like Alex Smith in a high total game. Excuse me. And then go and get Travis Kelce, who's one of his top pass catchers. Kelce could sneak into that flex spot for you. I think he's in a very good spot this week, and I really do like him. And then you could put Alex Smith, which, granted, is a downgrade from Aaron Rodgers, but he's also only $6,000 as opposed to Aaron Rodgers' $8,000. So the $2,000 that you would have to come up to go from James Stark to Travis Kelce would be the same $2,000 you'd have to come down off of Rodgers to Alex Smith. It's not the ideal change, but it is something that you could do if you do want to try to roll Stark out there. Again, if Stark does play at $3,000, I think he makes for a great play. He's going to see a ton of volume. He doesn't even need a touchdown to pay off that salary, and he's going to be involved in the passing game. So at $3,000, I definitely think James Stark is somebody to look at if he's in the game. And now that you have some swerves that you can make off him, it's a lot easier to put him in there and feel confident that you'll still have a pretty good chance on Monday night. So that has been some of our running back picks for this week over on DraftKings. Thank you guys for joining us here at rotocurve.com. And as always, stay classy, DFS.